You've probably seen her. In the tightly controlled world of North Korea, there's a woman who's always there, just a few steps behind the supreme leader. Her name is Kim Yo Jong, and her faint, Mona Lisa-like smile might just be as powerful as a missile launch.
I mean, think about it. Every summit, every military parade, every single photo op, there she is. But she's not just a bystander, not at all. She's more like a gatekeeper. Her constant presence isn't just about family loyalty. It's a very clear signal of her incredible influence and her control over who gets anywhere near the man in charge.
You know, the world really first started noticing her in these smaller, supporting roles, meticulously arranging documents or even holding an ashtray for her chain-smoking brother. But it begs the question, right? Is she just the hand holding the ashtray, or is she the hand that holds the real power? Well, here's the twist. Because behind that quiet, almost harmless-looking demeanor is a really chilling reputation. Experts who study the regime have given her a pretty startling title, the world's most dangerous woman. And they warn she is a force that should never, ever be underestimated.
So how in the world did this seemingly unassuming woman get a label that terrifying? To figure that out, we've got to peel back all the layers of secrecy and propaganda that have been built around her. So in this explainer, we're going to trace her journey from a hidden childhood right to the very center of North Korean power.
Her story doesn't really begin in a public palace. It starts in a gilded cage, a super luxurious private compound in Pyongyang where she and her brother were pretty much cut off from the world. And it was there they forged a bond that would one day shape the destiny of an entire nation.
Okay, so she was born into a dynasty, but her path to power was not a sure thing. As the youngest child and the beloved daughter, she grew up in the shadow of her two older brothers. Now the eldest, Kim Jong Un, he was more interested in music, but she and Kim Jong Un, well, they were destined for a totally different kind of stage, one where the stakes were literally life and death.
And this is where it gets kind of wild. In the 1990s, they were sent to Bern, Switzerland for a Western education, but the whole thing was under deep, deep cover. He was registered as Pak Un, the son of an embassy employee, and she was Pak Mi Hong. So on the surface, they went to a public school, lived in a modest apartment, and they were just posing as ordinary kids. But their reality was a performance. Their home was actually a covert command center, constantly staffed with North Korean officials, relatives, and undercover bodyguards. And it was this shared experience of deep isolation in a foreign land that solidified this powerful, unbreakable bond between them.
But their time in the West, that was really just the prelude. When they got back to North Korea, Kim Yo Jong's true ascent began. Not with a big bang, but with a quiet, very calculated climb right into the heart of the regime. Now, what's so interesting about this timeline is just the sheer speed of her rise. I mean, in 2011, at her father's funeral, she was practically a ghost. The world barely even noticed. Just 1 year later, by 2012, she's the gatekeeper to her brother's inner circle. And by 2014, she had control of one of the regime's most powerful tools.
And that tool was the propaganda department. Now, this is not just some media office. It's the nerve center for the regime's entire cult of personality. As its de facto head, she became the chief architect of her brother's public image, carefully crafting his persona to mirror their revered grandfather, the nation's founder, Kim Il-sung. For years, she operated from the shadows, like the master puppeteer behind the curtain. But that smiling diplomat, that was just one of her many faces, and as the world would soon discover, behind that mask of civility was the heart of a true believer and a ruthless enforcer.
Remember this? She showed up at the 2018 Winter Olympics like a dove of peace. Her serene smile completely disarmed a world that was so used to North Korean aggression. As the first member of the Kim dynasty to visit the South since the Korean War, she became a global media sensation, the human face of a brutal regime. And then, just 2 years after that diplomatic triumph, you get this. This was her public language. The diplomatic smile was gone, replaced by these vicious insults that just stunned the world. The mask wasn't just off, it was completely shattered.
So the real turning point came in April 2020. Kim Jong Un vanished. The world basically held its breath as rumors of his death or some serious illness swirled. And in that information vacuum, a new power started to rise.
And then, it was like a thunderclap. For the first time ever, Kim Yo Jong spoke directly to the world, issuing a statement in her own name. And it wasn't a message of reassurance, it was a torrent of insults hurled at South Korea.
The signal was unmistakable. The king may be absent, but the dynasty is very much alive.
That moment was a declaration of intent. From that point forward, she was no longer just the silent sister orchestrating things from behind the scenes. She had become the official attack dog of the regime, and her words were now her weapons.
I mean, her insults are as creative as they are brutal. She calls defectors who escape her country scum and human waste. She's dismissed a sitting South Korean president as a parrot raised by America and called the U.S. president an old man with no future. This isn't just name-calling. It's a calculated projection of absolute strength and total contempt.
But her power isn't just verbal. According to intelligence reports and defector testimonies, she's been implicated in some of the regime's most ruthless acts. She is alleged to have been an architect of her own uncle's execution back in 2013 and is linked to the 2017 assassination of her half-brother. And then in 2020, she took personal credit for ordering the demolition of the Inter-Korean Liaison Office, which was a key symbol of peace.
So here's the crucial point. The question isn't really if she will one day rule North Korea anymore. The real question is whether, in a lot of ways, she already does. She's gone from being the heir apparent to being more like a co-regent, wielding immense power right here, right now.
Today, she is the undisputed number 2. She's the propaganda chief, a Politburo member, and the primary foreign policy voice of the nation, issuing threats and statements that were once only reserved for the supreme leader. Many experts now consider her the designated successor, the next in line to the throne.
You know, history has seen ruthless female rulers, from China's Empress Wu Zetian to England's Bloody Mary. But analysts point out a critical difference that makes Kim Yo Jong uniquely dangerous. None of those historical figures had their finger on a nuclear button or commanded the total information control of a modern totalitarian state.
And so the quiet girl from Pyongyang has become a global power player, a woman who has weaponized propaganda, diplomacy, and fear, and whose anger now has the very real potential to destabilize the entire world.
So this leaves us with a final, chilling thought. The world has spent decades trying to understand the mind of a male dictator. But if he were to just disappear tomorrow, is anyone truly prepared for a leader who may be even more ideological, more ruthless, and more dangerous than her brother? And what does it mean when the most dangerous woman on the planet is the smiling sister who's been hiding in plain sight all along?